And okay, so I'll be posting this recording in the Schoology folder for week 3, lesson 2. Alana, what you eating for breakfast?
I'm having it's kind of a Chinese breakfast. It's got a bunch of it's got like these buns, and then I have a fried egg that has soy sauce on it.
That is a much better answer than I ever could have predicted.
I,
Okay.
I ate stuff like this when I was in China, so it's like really good.
I bet. What's in the bun? Is it bean paste or is it meat?
It's like a sweet pork. It's kind of like
Yeah.
it's got a slightly barbecuey flavor, but
Yeah.
it's a lot more like sugary.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get them at H Mart sometimes. I sound like
Yeah,
them.
yeah, these are actually from that's where they're from.
Yeah. H Mart, by the way, is really doing a great job in this whole pandemic situation. They were way ahead of the curve on the masks. I digress. All right. I'm going to cut that out of the recording. I'm going to edit that right out. You guys know I have really good editing skills. I hope you enjoyed that video. Oh, Emily let me down. I have a senior thesis. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay, so if you have already watched lesson 1, then you know what this is. This is the Middlemarch prompt that I annotated and found the implied question for, and then I did all of my brainstorming for it. Say what you will, I thought their brainstorming charts really led me to some powerful insights. Now, wouldn't it be nice if I could just take all of this and cut and paste it into an essay? Yeah, but that's not really how it works. This was an exercise in thinking. So you can't just... Okay, here's a good analogy. Imagine that you did a sketch in advance of decorating the Sistine Chapel. So, you've been hired to decorate the Sistine Chapel because they're tired of the old paintings. They want new ones by you. And so then you do a whole bunch of sketches and you really think it out. You try a bunch of different things. You can't then just take scissors and cut out the sketches and paste them on the Sistine Chapel. Okay. You have to then really get into the painting. Okay. So this is just like ideas that you had for your essay. The only thing that you're going to be able to copy and paste is your thesis. So your thesis should answer the implied question. My implied question was, what is the complex relationship as husband and wife? So, what's complex about it, basically. And remember that the implied question is pretty much always going to start with a what is, okay? The how comes later. You're going to talk about that in the body of the essay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy and paste my thesis, and I'm going to put it in the first paragraph of my essay. Now, what is the introductory matter going to be? It doesn't even matter, okay? You don't want it to sound dumb. You don't want to say, since the world began, there have been husbands and wives. Nobody likes that. That sounds like middle school. But you can say anything you want about the question at hand. So since we're you're gossiping really about husbands and wives, my introductory matter might be something like, something like, from Shakespeare's Macbeth to Jane Austen's Bennets, marriages have been a popular subject matter for authors because they are so interesting and complex. And then just launch right into your thesis. So in other words, the introductory matter, as long as it sounds intelligent and is grammatically correct and so forth, can just be about whatever subject you're writing about. So you guys, for the Beat Queen prompt, you've pulled siblings, the sweet, adorable Carl, and the stolid Mary. So you could say something about siblings, or you could say something about the Midwest, or whatever, okay, the time period. It doesn't really matter. My point is just make sure that the introductory paragraph ends with that thesis, okay? Now, do you know where to go from there? Nod your head yes if you think you do. Like, what's your first body paragraph going to be? You don't want to commit? But you know, don't you? You know what you're going to do. You're going to start at the top of the essay. I mean, not the top of the essay, rather. You're going to start at the top of the passage and start writing about those best bits. And I mean, I like to chunk it myself. So, I mean, since I was a little kid, 3-body paragraph seems to be pretty standard. So I usually chunk the passage into 3 parts, unless it really makes sense to chunk it into 2 or 4 or whatever. So if you think of it as a beginning, middle, and end, like that one graphic organizer encourages us to do, then my first body paragraph would be about the top of this passage where clearly Rosamond is just finding out that they've got money problems, up into the point where like he offends her. And then the middle part is where he tries to be like, oh, baby, don't be like that. And she's not having it. And then the end part is where he gets angry again. And she resorts to a major zinger. Okay, but here's the, and then does that make sense to you guys? So you don't need topic sentences a la 9th grade English. You don't need one way in which the relationship is complex. Just start with the passage begins, okay, as the argument continues. Those transitions, like chronological narrative transitions, will work for you very, very well. Let's see. Okay, here's the most important thing I need to tell you about. Although I've tried to make this process kind of like a formula, like do this, then do this, then do this, it's really about the depth of your thinking and how much the quality of the reading that you have given the passage. Like, are you really getting what this author is saying? Are you picking up on the best bits? Are you making accurate inferences? And we've been practicing that, right? So even though this sounds like a, do this graphic organizer, think about this, organize it in this way, you really have to get back to your inherent brilliance as a reader and writer when it comes down to actually writing the essay. What I mean about that specifically is this. So I came up with a thesis that I like, that their marriage is complex because it's loving but troubled because of the oppressive gender dynamics. And then I started thinking about, okay, so I'm going to have to prove that it's loving for both of them and that it's troubled, and that has to do with the gender dynamics. Here's the thing. In all of the graphic organizers I did, I never really showed that Rosamond was loving. But now that I have a thesis to prove, I went and looked and I'm like, yeah, okay. I can make an argument at the top that she is loving because he clearly has told her, hey, we have money problems. She doesn't blame him or yell at him. She tries to help him, even though she's clearly embarrassed because she colors deeply. She says, have you asked Papa for money? Then I must ask him. So she's trying to be helpful and positive, and so I think I could make the argument that she's loving there. So that's not something that I had considered when I was doing the whole graphic organizer. But now that I've got a thesis I need to prove, I need to make sure that I get that. And it's not, and to get into the gender dynamics thing, she really doesn't have any other options, right? It might make her sound spoiled that she says, I'm going to ask Papa for money, but she's a woman. It's not like she can just work some overtime at the firm and bill some more hours and come up with some money. That's really the only option that she has. Okay. And then I don't think I need to go over with you guys all of the great things that you've learned over the course of your high school career. You know, picking out just the shortest possible bits of the quotation and embedding them in your own sentences, and choosing strong verbs as you go so that you're, you know, thinking out the sentence before you write it down to make sure that it's centered around a strong verb. You guys know all that stuff. Now, the conclusion. All right, what are we going to do on the conclusion? We're going to get deep and we're going to go global, because that's how we're going to get our sophistication point. So I could sort of rephrase my thesis, right? So, you know, their troubled marriage is, you know, shows them confronting the roles that they had no part in creating, right? The man is the provider and the woman is the sweet support to her husband. And then maybe I could say something about, but if there is love there, you know, they're going to be able to work through it. And then maybe I can say something about like bring it up to today. Like even today when women have more options, you know, these gender roles are often still bubbling under the surface, creating tensions in couples in terms of like who makes more money, who's doing their share of the housework. And I could maybe say something, you know, even though to some extent this passage seems like a period piece from the 19th century, the argument itself is quite relatable for a married couple. You know, something like that. Just get deep on it. Bring it up to today. Look at, you know, zoom out to the world. So you guys are writing about siblings during the Great Depression era, facing some hard times on their own. You know, zoom that out. Make it relevant to today. You could even make a prediction. That's a nice way to go. Like, do I predict that this couple is going to hold it together or they're going to fall apart? What do you think is going to happen to these siblings, for example? That could be your conclusion. All right. Whew, that was a lot of me talking. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to spend no more than, say, 25 minutes actually writing the essay. So I'm not expecting it to be like the be all and end all of essays. I'm expecting it to look like a timed essay. And make sure that you don't, you know, don't look up the beat queen on the internet and cheat, because that would suck, because then you won't get any practice. All right. Then we will turn to the entertainment part of our program. Let's see. I have literary would you rather questions. Okay, so be prepared to unmute your mic and tell us would you rather. So these are all assuming that you guys are future English majors, which I'm sure you are. You wouldn't want to be an English major. Okay, let's see. Starting with, my finger goes down on Sarah O. Sarah, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Sarah, would you rather eat meat and hang out with Jack or be hungry and hang out with Simon?
Eat meat and hang out with Jack.
That's very revealing. Thanks, Sarah.